Dave Evans used to work at Apple. One challenge he faced was in designing a new mouse.
Should we have one button on the mouse or two buttons on the mouse?
Dave said that he and Steve Jobs and other Apple engineers quickly figured out they really had two problems to solve. The first was to understand how people interacted with a computer, to see what kind of a mouse would work for them.
Before you do problem solving, you have to do problem finding. What's the right thing to be working on?
To say it another way, the first challenge for the engineers was in figuring out what the problem was that they had to solve. The second challenge was to solve it. This approach, design thinking. A few years ago, Dave says he realized that design thinking might be useful outside the tech world too. He started teaching a course at Stanford University called Designing Your Life. In the class, Dave talks about how everyday life produces challenges that are actually made up of two entirely different kinds of problems. One kind is tame, and the other is what he calls wicked.
A tame problem is one you know how to solve. A wicked problem is one where the criteria are changing all the time. Even if you come up with a solution, you don't get to reuse it over and over again. The status of what you're working on changes constantly and never is stable. Problems like, education and poverty and your own life, or raising a kid. So wicked problems are particularly good for the method of design thinking, because design relies on the empirical process of iterating multiple ideas with prototypes, so going out into reality, not just into your head, and trying something out.
Solving these two different kinds of problems requires two different approaches.
When you can't know what you're doing, you can't navigate like a GPS would because you don't have a map and you don't have all the information. You have to wayfind. And wayfinding means taking one step at a time, knowing something about the direction you're going, trying a few things, tuning it up, and then doing it again and doing it again. And life is like that.
Like lots of other well-educated and competent people, Christine is a good navigator. The reason she feels paralyzed is that the problem she's facing isn't one of navigation, but wayfinding. Dave's students often have the same dilemma.
Everyone turns out to be pretty interested in what they're doing with their life, and nobody was given a toolkit for how to figure that out.
Wayfinding isn't just about finding out where you need to go. It's about getting comfortable with the idea that you may not have just one destination. When students come to Dave and tell him they're worried they do not know what to do with their lives, he tells them,
there's more than one of you in there. So there are many more than one right answer to what your life looks like. So the problem with the current approach that lots of people are taking is it starts with the wrong question. And the wrong question is, how do I figure out that one best solution to my life? There is one exclusive, unique, optimal version of me, and I'm supposed to already know it, and I'm probably already late, and how do I figure it out, and how would I know if I knew? How can I be sure? And we think all those questions are the wrong questions.
New York, and he asked her and the other participants to do a series of different exercises to apply design thinking to whatever problem they felt stuck on. One of the exercises is what Dave calls Odyssey planning. The principle behind the Odyssey planning exercise is that there isn't just one career or one life plan for any of us. Dave asked everyone to give
3 completely different variations of the next 5 years of your life. We've already said, we're pretty sure there are lots of you in there. There's lots of Shankars who could be having a great time being a public radio host and doing really interesting work with the hidden brain. But if I suddenly said, the radio world just died, Shankar, that's over completely. You have to go do something else. Well, you wouldn't just sit on the lawn waiting for time to go by. You'd go do something else. There are other things you could do. So we have people come up with 3 completely different versions of themselves and then go try some prototypes in each of them so that what you end up with is not just the one perfect life, but recognizing there are many lives I could have, and now I'm going to choose the one that I'm going to have. It's going to be a good life. It could even be a great life. But it doesn't have to be exclusively good. It's just the good life I'm living